Welcome back to Transcriber from Reddit. Today's topic comes from the subreddit exLutheran, posted by user relevant-shop8513. The post is a text post with a title, Small Men in a Small Pond. The user writes the following: I have been thinking of the many pastors and theologians that I have encountered in my life. I have come to the conclusion that LCMS produces and cultivates some men who are not able to compete in the larger society, but find success in the smaller LCMS culture. Not all, but some. To maintain their level of success and superiority in this small culture, they use Bible verses that support patriarchy and superiority at the expense of Bible verses that support the role of women and children in Christianity. To encourage the necessity of women in Christianity would lessen their status, which is not as high as that of men in the broader culture. Women who can live a life outside of the strictures of this smaller culture can be healthy and successful while compartmentalizing the orthodox in outward practice and practicing the spiritual heart of Christianity. They can see Christ as Jesus of Nazareth, a man who saw women as an essential part of his earthly ministry as well as all creation. For men to see this would be an awful blow to their egos and sense of self. At the time of this reading, this post has 7 comments and 26 upvotes. I'm going to go through each of the 7 comments because I believe they elaborate on this already well-said post. First, we start with user Donna Noble Smith commenting, "This is absolutely true. Not only do they use their energy to push women down, but also people who aren't, quote, from a Lutheran background, end quote, which typically means Midwestern with German or Scandinavian roots. The only good hymns are the ones they sing. The only good liturgy is the one they follow. The only good holidays are the ones that have been celebrated by their ancestors. The only good language is English or whatever Northern European language their great-great-grandparents spoke. This is designed to keep others out, to reject anyone different as unholy, and to keep the pond as small as possible." User LCMS_heretic comments separately saying, "Beautifully said." User Chuckles the Grumpy comments separately saying, "Yeah, this is obvious when you start reading theology or philosophy from outside the denomination. Even your typical evangelical theologian puts in 10 times the thought and care into a book or idea than the average Lutheran theologian. And even evangelical leaders are just pundits half the time. This is even more obvious when you broaden the pool to include people other than straight white dudes. Part of the reason nobody engages with the Wells or LCMS theologically is because the bar for quality out of their publishing houses is about as low as you can get." I think they meant is about as low as you can get. User Tito Totino comments separately saying, "Absolutely, and it's a good example of how patriarchy and authoritarianism devalues everyone involved in it. Mediocre men are told it is God's perfect design that they receive the respect and deference befitting their status as spiritual head of their households, and they can count on the support of church leadership in maintaining that status, as long as they give that same level of respect and deference to church leadership." So true, Tito Totino. User Autonomy Number 4, me, comments separately saying, I have found that within the female spouses plus their equally staunch ideology, their open practice of misogynistic support in turn gives them a palpable air of superiority that has caused much trauma plus abuse within many emotionally unhappy plus shame-based households. It's just so awful plus tragically sad. Ending with a sad-eyed emoji face. User Relevant Shop 8513 OP responds to Autonomy for Me's comment saying, I agree with you. There are many pastors' wives and missionary wives that our less cultured friends would use the quote, be, end quote, word in describing. Finally, user pristine_ad_8107 comments separately saying, well stated. Well stated indeed, OP. It is interesting and as equally sad as it is interesting, the amount of hoops that the male leaders in the WELS and LCMS will go through to justify their superiority over women. Let me give everybody a personal example. My mom works with 2 other women when it comes to copyright issues for music. Particularly, one of those women has much more experience than my mom and this other lady put together. However, does anybody ask her opinion when copyright issues over music come up? No. Does anyone encourage her to voice her opinion when these copyright issues come up? No, they do not. Why? Because she's a woman, and because they value her much less than they would a man's opinion on the same subject. My mom told me about this issue, and I have encouraged her repeatedly over and over again to bring this up, to barge into the Board of Elders if necessary, and voice how much of a concern it is, because if it affects your live streaming ability, it affects your YouTube channel. And if it affects your YouTube channel, it's going to affect your ability to impact other people, as well as be able to reach not just shut-ins, but other people just random strangers on the internet. My mom has expressed the statement that they want to do it within the idea of being true submissives and how they're going to do it in a loving and kind way as they are under the authority of the board. And I told her it shouldn't be that way. This is a secular legal issue. This requires that the board set aside this whole idea of submission to authority in order to get a good secular scope of the picture of what could possibly impact their ministry. Because it is primarily a secular matter, it needs to be addressed, and they should be adults enough to sit down and listen from someone who is more educated than them on the subject, regardless if she's a woman or not. I haven't heard any details from my mom as to how this went, so I'm hoping at some point to hear from her or to press this topic of conversation again. But I want everyone who listened to this video, thank you for listening/watching. Please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.